Welcome to the Dose of Good podcast, where we celebrate good people and organizations working to make the world a better place. It can be easy to get caught up in the bad things going on in the world and forget about the good happening all around us each and every day. I'm your host, Erin, and I want to share these stories with you and give them the attention they deserve. I hope this podcast educates and inspires you and maybe even motivates you to share a dose of good in your community. Now let's get into today's episode. Today's episode features Waypoint, and they are one of those organizations that is covering so many different areas, so many different age groups. So I will let them tell you more about what they do, but I speak with Erin George Kelly, who is the Director of Innovation and Strategic Initiatives, and Laura Zorawowicz, who is the Director of Philanthropy. And I really enjoyed my discussion with them. They're a wealth of information, and I hope that you will enjoy learning more about Waypoint. Today I have with me two guests from Waypoint. Erin George Kelly is the Director of Innovation and Strategic Initiatives, and Laura Zorawowicz is the Director of Philanthropy. Thank you both for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So could we start by talking about a little bit of Waypoint's history and the mission?
Yeah, absolutely. So Waypoint is a social services nonprofit. We celebrated our 175th anniversary in 2025. So our mission is empowering all ages through an array of services. We are statewide. We serve over 9,000 individuals over the course of any given year. And when we say an array of services, we really do cover across the full lifespan through our 4 departments.
And how did each of you become involved with Waypoint, and what do your roles entail?
So I've been at Waypoint for a long time, almost 20 years now. Yeah, so I started in direct service work right after I got my master's degree, doing some home-based family work, and have sort of moved through the ranks of the organization, becoming a supervisor and then having an opportunity to move to a manager. I also was the director of our homeless youth and young adult department for about 10 years and moved into the role that I'm currently in a couple of years ago. And this role really is an opportunity to make sure that we are an organization that is living our values out loud. It really is an opportunity to instill and infuse a culture of belonging and inclusion throughout the organization, and making sure that from the direct service all the way up to the most senior leader, that we are being the organization that we really say that we are, that we're walking the talk. And that we are taking into consideration feedback from our clients and our participants to continue to be an organization that is improving, that we are a thought leader in the social services space, and that we continue to innovate and provide best practices so that we're meeting the needs of the communities that we serve.
And compared to Erin's nearly 20 years, I'm a newbie. I've been with Waypoint for about 18 months. So I started in philanthropy a few years prior to joining Waypoint at some other nonprofits, and we partnered with Waypoint. So I had heard of the organization. I knew the great work that they did. So when the opportunity arose, I was really thrilled to join the team. And as a director of philanthropy, my role is really about community engagement and building relationships. So we're focused on really providing opportunities for individuals and organizations to support their community through our programs. So this sometimes looks like education about our services. It looks like events. We have a few signature events throughout the year, our Sleep Out and our Touch a Truck. It's really about getting to know the people in the state and finding mission alignment. So we're a human services organization, and to be relationship focused is really just part of our mission and what happens at every level of the organization. So it's just what makes sense when it comes to philanthropy, fundraising, and working with the community to make things happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'd like to get to know, the people behind the good work as much as possible. So now at Waypoint, you have 4 program departments. So could you share a little bit about what those departments are and just give a little information about them?
Sure. Like Laura said, we do span all the way from kind of prenatal services all the way up to home care for the elderly. So the whole lifespan. And we do that through those 4 departments, as you said. Our early childhood and family supports department provides services for babies in utero all the way up to children up to 22 years old. We do a lot of home visiting, supporting positive births, and helping parents to develop really healthy strategies for parenting through those programs. We also provide some early supports and intervention for children that are born with developmental delays. We have family resource centers throughout the state of New Hampshire where people can come into our family resource centers and get connected to other services or resources in their community that they might need, whether that's within Waypoint or in another area throughout the community. And then kinship navigation, where we're supporting families who have taken custody of a child in maybe their extended family. So often that's grandparents or aunts or uncles. So supporting those families so that they have the resources and tools they need to help parent those children. Our second department is our Family Preservation and Strengthening Department, and that's a department that works really closely with our state systems, so our juvenile justice system and our child protection services system. And most of the families that we're providing services through that program are connected to those services. And when they're in those systems of care, we really want to be able to provide supports to them in the community and in their homes to keep their families together or reunify their families if they've been separated, and really to try to preserve their families and help them access the supports that they need to be able to move away from systems of care. So not be consistently involved with child protection or juvenile justice, and have the tools themselves to be able to create a healthy family environment. We do have one program in that department that's voluntary. So this is a program, it's called our Community-Based Voluntary Services Program, where people who might have contact with our child protection services system, but don't actually have an open case with them, have an opportunity to access services voluntarily, to be able to say, yeah, my family is at a place right now where we could use some extra supports in order to stabilize us and help keep us out of the child welfare system. And so that too happens in the community and in their home to help provide those resources and supports. Then our Homeless Youth and Young Adult Services Department provides services for young people as young as 12 and then all the way up to their 25th birthday. And those are all young people who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness on their own, so separated from their families or parents, legal guardians, and might be couch surfing, living in their cars, living on the street. Depending on kind of their age range, it looks a little different. But we provide an array of services, from kind of supportive services in the community, outreach work in our youth resource centers, and then housing services like our emergency shelter and our transitional living programs. And then our last department at Waypoint is our Health, Wellbeing, and Independence Department. And that department encompasses 2 programs. One is our home care program that provides services to elderly or disabled individuals who are really looking to continue to live independently in their homes. And we go into their homes and provide a lot of the services and supports that are needed for them to continue living there. And our healthcare coordination program is a program that is geared towards children who have chronic health conditions. So it's an opportunity for families to have supports and assistance in navigating the very complex healthcare system and get the supports they need to be able to parent a child who has a chronic health condition. So I know that's a lot. Our 4 departments are very expansive. We provide a lot of services. And, our tagline at Waypoint is help along the way. So there's a lot of opportunity for families throughout New Hampshire at different times to interact with and have gain services from many of our programs throughout the span of a family's life.
Yeah, it sounds like you're covering a lot of areas, age ranges. It's a good education for me, and I think even the listeners, that I think oftentimes when people think homeless, they think adults.
Yeah.
And they aren't thinking about the fact that there's children. And I didn't even think of like children who aren't even with their families.
Yeah.
So it's good to learn that you're offering supports for those kids and everything. So
yeah, we do. The 12 to 17-year-olds are definitely some of the most vulnerable young people that we provide services to. And like I said, oftentimes those young people are couch surfing, kind of moving from one couch to another. Maybe they go home for a couple of weeks or wherever their parent or legal guardian is staying for a couple of weeks and then leave again because there isn't really stability in where that person is staying. And so we try to provide supports to them and try to figure out long-term planning for them so that they're not connected necessarily to the child welfare system unless absolutely necessary to do so.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And how do people, if they need your services, do they get referred to you by other organizations? Do they just, is your name just out there and they just know to seek you out? How does that part work?
Yeah, so we get referrals from a large array of places. Some of our services, like we talked about our family preservation and strengthening department, all of those referrals come through the Division for Children, Youth, and Families at the state. So that's a closed kind of referral system. Okay. Our other 3 departments really get referrals from anywhere. In our homeless youth department, young people can walk in off the street into one of our youth resource centers in Manchester or Rochester. In our early childhood and family supports department, we often get referrals from OBGYNs, doctor's offices, like pediatricians, preschools, other places in the community where these families and young children are interacting with. And, lots of times families might not know that the supports exist. So to have somebody else in the community that they trust say to them, hey, I think maybe this service could really support your family right now, and doing that sort of warm handoff, like, can I help make the phone call with you or can I help connect you? The other way, Laura, do you want to talk about our help button on our website?
Yeah, sure. So if you go onto our website, right on the homepage, our website's waypointnh.org. There is a Get Help button right at the top of the page. If you click on that, you get a list of what you might need help with, and you can click on whatever you feel like you need, whatever resonates with you, and then we will get a message at Waypoint, and we will direct you to the department or the person that is going to best be able to meet your needs. It's really simple. We try to keep everything as accessible and low barrier as possible. So
because we have so many programs at Waypoint, we would never want the community to feel like they have to figure out exactly what program fits for them. So when you do go on the Get Help page, it asks you some questions about what you're experiencing right now and what you're looking for that help lead you into the right direction.
I love that idea because it makes it so people aren't, scrolling through the website trying to figure out, well, where am I supposed to go for this help? And it kind of directs them where to go, but then you can also reach out and help them too. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you have, and if so, what volunteer opportunities are available?
Yeah, we always love community partnerships. So in terms of volunteering, probably our biggest need and the biggest help is actually drives. So if individuals or groups are interested and wanted to run a drive for items that we need to, in particular, help our homeless youth and young adult programs, but also we have a kindness closet for our seniors. And so the needs vary, but what we need almost always are hygiene items.
Okay.
So for our elderly folks, it's cleaning supplies. And for our homeless youth and young adult, it's, soap, shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, underwear, socks, all of those items that are kind of like the expendables are so helpful and so needed.
Okay.
that's
So if
important.
people wanted to donate those, should they contact you first? Can they just drop it off? Does that have a specific process to it, or?
So they can go on the website. We have a wish list. If you go on to, waypointnh.org, there is a wish list that lists all of the items. And then there's also hours for our youth resource centers. And those are great places to drop items off.
Okay.
And then another option is they're welcome to email us. They can email our general email, which is on the website. I think the most general is probably info@waypointnh.org, or they can email me. And I'm happy to give you my email, but I don't feel like you want me to spell my last name out right now.
I can put it in the description so
That's
people can just
perfect.
click on it.
If anyone has questions about running a drive or wanting to participate in events or volunteer, they can certainly reach out. In terms of in-person volunteering, we do have our 2 events, Sleep Out and Touch a Truck, and we can definitely use help around those events in March and September.
Okay. Well, while we're bringing those up, did you want to go any more in depth about those events?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Sleep Out is our annual fundraiser for our homeless youth and young adult department. We're headed into our 12th year in March. This is a really special event because it is a peer-to-peer fundraiser, and it's also a really important platform for just sharing with the community what the experience is of our young people who are accessing our programs because they're experiencing housing instability. So you can sign up to be a participant. We have this great platform called One Cause, and what you'll do is you'll share out with your networks that you're participating, that you're raising funds, and we make it really easy for you to share on socials, through text or through email, that you are supporting these programs and how other people can help and get involved. And then we have a culminating event on March 27th, and we all come together at Bronstein Park in Manchester, which is right across the street from our Manchester Youth Resource Center and homeless shelter. And it's an opportunity for us to show up and stand in solidarity with our young people. It's also an opportunity to hear from them and to memorialize individuals who've been lost to homelessness. It's an opportunity for us to share information, data, and experiences and how people can help. And it also serves as just a point of community coming together. We share soup and bread. And then something we started last year that we're really excited about is actually an art exhibition. Oh. So our young people participate through the youth resource centers in an art program. They are creating art with Positive Street Art, which is a great community partner and arts organization. And they'll have their artwork on display and for sale. So you can come, you can enjoy the artwork, you can experience the shelter, you can take a tour, and then, the artwork is for sale, and you can interact with folks at the shelter, staff, and some young people as well. And then Sleep Out, as you can imagine, is because we encourage people to have an experience of sleeping out. So in the past, we've actually slept out all together collectively outside, but we've had some changes. Part of that is because we are working to be respectful of the young people that we serve and the staff that we have on staff who have lived experience. And it can be really hard for them to be involved in an experience that's like emulating something that has been challenging or traumatic. Another reason that we have changed our the way we platform it a little bit is because Grants Pass versus Johnson, it was a Supreme Court ruling in the summer of 2024 that allowed municipalities to criminalize homelessness. So in Manchester, if you're found sleeping outside, you get a ticket and a fine. So it did not feel like it was the right, appropriate thing to do for us to get a permit to sleep outside when our young people and people who are experiencing housing challenges don't have that option.
Sure.
So we come together at Braunstein. We live stream the event as well so that you can sleep out where you would like. You can have the experience with coworkers if you create a team with your organization. You can sleep out at home with neighbors and bring people together to learn more and support. Or you can sleep out on your own. Some people sleep out in their car or on their front porches. It's really about reflecting and committing to standing with the young people in our community who need the support. So I will absolutely share with you the information for people to sign up. You can, again, go on the Waypoint website. There's an events page, and you can click through there and learn more, see some photos from last year, and sign yourself up if you're interested or donate. We really appreciate that support.
Great. And when in March is it?
March 27th.
Perfect.
Is the
Okay,
date
because
of
I
the
wanted
event.
to make sure this comes out before it happens.
Okay,
So,
great. Yeah. And it's all live. The platform is
Okay.
live now. So you can go on and join, access, and donate from now through the end of March.
Great. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And did you want to talk about the Touch a Truck as well?
Sure, I can touch on that briefly. So Touch a Truck is our September event, and it's at Peace Tradeport in Portsmouth, and that supports our Family Supports and Services program. And it is an inherited event from the Richie McFarland Center, which we combined with a number of years ago. So we're actually headed into the 20th anniversary year this September. It's an event that is supposedly the original Touch a Truck event. And there's about 30 vehicles that come. Really cool. We have, municipal vehicles like police and fire, but then we have tractors and dump trucks and all sorts of really fun, exciting things for kids to see and interact with, and some really awesome community partners who show up with their vehicles. And we get a few thousand people who come through and enjoy the day. And it's just a really great family fun event.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. My son's 2, and it sounds like he would
love
love it. Yeah. So.
Gets to sit in these big, huge tractors.
Oh, he would love
The pictures
that.
are so cute. So, yeah, that's a great event as well.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else that people should know about Waypoint that maybe we haven't covered?
Yeah, I think one of the important things to know about Waypoint is that uniquely, we also have an advocacy department. So in addition to our 4 program departments, our advocacy department is doing work in our state house every day. So they really are advocating and doing policy work around bills that can impact the clients that we serve, families, children and youth, or kind of the social services network as a whole, that sector of the community. As an advocacy organization, we are really unique. There's a lot of other advocacy organizations that we partner with, like NAMI and New Futures, but we are the only advocacy organization in New Hampshire that also has programs. So we really have this great perspective of being able to bring our client stories into the State House so that when our legislature is passing bills and making laws, they really can understand right from the front line kind of who the things that they are creating are affecting and impacting and how they're impacting people. So it allows us to really bring the stories of our clients and families into the State House and make it real for legislators to understand that if they are passing bills to do things like reduce the amount of SNAP benefits that are going out to residents in New Hampshire, really see the face of the people that is impacting or affecting and understand the stories of how, SNAP benefits might be something that's really positive and has helped a family be able to take the next steps in moving forward in their life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's probably always been important, but seems especially important right now to have those dedicated people that can go and either fight for a bill or educate against a certain bill, and again adding that human element to it of how it really affects people and everything. So that's great to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Our advocacy department, our staff are in the State House every day, especially right now during the active legislative session, and really being able to help legislators understand and educate them, like you said, both on bills that we feel really strongly in support of and bills that we feel opposed to because they might have negative impacts on children, youth, and families across New Hampshire. So being able to provide that education to our legislators is important.
Yeah. It's great that that's available, because I know in talking to a bunch of other nonprofits, they'd love to be able to send someone up to work on these things, but they often don't have the staff available to dedicate to that. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, then I just have a few final questions I like to ask everybody, and you can both kind of give your input if you want to.
Sure.
So the first is if you could share a story about someone's life who's been transformed by your work.
I had thought of a story, but I think as I was kind of like reflecting further, I don't have a specific story, but I see in our programs what a massive impact having human connection with our staff makes.
Okay.
So an example is there was a really wonderful event for our kinship families in December, and seeing everyone come together and having like a sense of camaraderie and understanding was really powerful, and having a space where the kids could just be kids was really amazing. And it was a beautiful collaboration between staff and community partners, and then the families themselves. And anytime that happens, it just feels really impactful, because I think we just need so much more of that in the world, is the in-person moments of like understanding and solidarity.
Sure.
So that was a really lovely one where it impacted a lot of people in a really lovely way.
I think for me, like I said, I was the director of our homeless youth department for about 10 years. And so those are the stories that are kind of the closest to my heart, or the, role that I was in that was more in closer proximity to kind of the direct service and frontline work. So one of the stories that I can tell is that our young adult shelter opened in the end of 2022. And when June of 2023 rolled around, one of the young people that was staying in the shelter got up on Saturday morning in June and was putting on his cap and gown to go to a high school graduation. And our Waypoint staff members were the people that were able to go to his graduation with him and really cheer him on and celebrate him. And I think that when people across the community think about individuals that are unhoused or experiencing homelessness, they're not necessarily thinking about a young person who's waking up in a young adult shelter every morning to get to high school, to be able to finish his high school diploma and cross the stage and graduate from high school. So I think just having the opportunity to be able to tell stories that break some of the myths of people who access social services, whether it's a young person accessing our homeless youth department or a young mom who walks in and accesses our family resource center for supports. Really being able to say that, there are times where almost every family needs an opportunity to get a hand up in their life. And it isn't because of all of the characterizations people make of individuals that need supports or social services. Mm-hmm. It really is just because life is hard and navigating life is difficult, and being able to provide those services, whether it's bringing a young person to graduation or some of the more kind of maybe smaller kind of simple things that we do every day, like helping a young mom to get her driver's license, or taking somebody to a pediatrician appointment, right? The things that we do to show up for people on a regular basis. everybody needs that sometime in their life.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then I know nonprofits are often collaborating with other nonprofits, and you kind of support each other. So if you could recommend another nonprofit to have on as a guest, or if you know a specific individual that's just doing great things, I'll have them on as well. So
Sure. Yeah. So one of the nonprofits, Laura and I sort of talked about this beforehand, and one of the nonprofits we work really closely with that is a smaller nonprofit in New Hampshire that has been a real grassroots organization that has grown over the last few years is My Turn.
Oh, okay.
And lots of our young people access services there in order to be able to access things like education and job readiness. Because we know that young people who get their high school diploma or an equivalent are a lot less likely to continue to experience homelessness throughout their young adulthood and into adulthood. And so really helping them to get connected to supportive, inclusive environments that are a little less of the traditional education environment. So My Turn, Allison Joseph is the executive director. She'd be a great person to interview on your podcast.
All right. Well, thank you. And that's great, because this is why I love this part of the show, especially because I'm always learning about new groups and organizations that I never even knew existed. So that's wonderful. It's amazing how even in our small state of New Hampshire, there's so many nonprofits doing such great work. So
Yeah, I actually think we have a very large and expansive array of nonprofits in New Hampshire. And part of that is the way that our, state structure is sort of set up. We depend on nonprofits to do a lot of the social services supports and fill a lot of needs in our communities. So when you say that, like, nonprofits work together is absolutely true. Yeah. There's a huge collaboration of all the nonprofits across the state in order to make this crazy system we have work.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And then the last question is, what does kindness mean to you? And can you share an example of maybe kindness that you've personally experienced or that you've witnessed happening?
Yeah, I'm going to start a little more generally and kind of touch back on what I mentioned before, is like that really simple human connection.
Sure.
So for me, it's like the making eye contact, the acknowledging people, saying hello, like just picking your head up. And I think when you see that happen, like people just light up.
Yeah.
So I can think of one time in particular, and kids are so attuned to that and they're so good at it. It's really like human nature, and I think we just get disconnected from it. So when I'm observing like kids with their caregivers, or I'm thinking of a time where I was at our early supports and services programs out by the Seacoast in Stratham. We have this beautiful outdoor classroom that gets used for therapeutic purposes, which is really wonderful. And we actually got to capture a photo of a caregiver, and this little boy, he was probably 2.5, like seeing her and just lighting up, and like that sense of trust and like her being down on his level, like that is really what it's all about. And I think if we can carry that through into adulthood, into our teen programs, into our family resource centers, like just understanding that a lot of the time that human to human connection is really what people need.
Yes.
And starting there from this place of empathy and respect, because I think that's what kindness is grounded in.
Oh, yeah.
My answer is kind of similar to Laura's.
Okay.
I think at this time in the world, one of the things that people are craving the most is a sense of community. And I have seen recently some experiences of kindness that are really about community care, people reaching out to other people. And I think oftentimes we think about social media as like detrimental to that. But I think one of the ways that I have seen that happen recently, and Waypoint has come up over and over, is that people who are reaching out on social media networks that are asking for supports and services to the community, other people are reaching back and saying like, hey, I know this organization. I think they could help you. Here's the information. Let me like connect you.
Yeah.
And so really thinking about the ways in which we can actually recognize and see our neighbors and not to pass judgment or decide that we know better, but to really be able to see them in times when they might need that sort of help and connection to community or supports, and taking the time to do it, right? Like not just to scroll by or to continue walking on your way by or getting in your car and rushing through your day, but really slowing down enough to be able to say, hey, I see what you're going through right now, and I have something that I think might be helpful to you, and let me provide it to you. So I feel like I'm seeing that in small ways over and over. And those are the things that are helping me to find kind of some hope and some joy during a time that feels so uncertain and maybe a little bit scary.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you both shared that. I agree. I think like you said, I think social media can be a tool to connect people, but then going back to what you said, we still need that in-person connection and just overall, not judging people, being kind and empathetic. And I think everybody needs more of that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing about Waypoint. I think you've given some great information to help people, and hopefully if people are in need of your services, they'll reach out or maybe volunteer or attend one of your events. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Erin.
You're welcome. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much to Erin and Laura for speaking with me and teaching me about Waypoint. And I hope that you will check them out, go to their website, possibly volunteer. Maybe you know someone that could benefit from their services. Also remember their Sleep Out event coming up later this month and their Touch a Truck event in September. That sounds like a fun time. I'm so glad that we are able to highlight these incredible organizations who are doing such amazing work to help in the community. And as always, for the latest information on the Dose of Good podcast, follow on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe on YouTube so you can watch the video versions of episodes. You can also subscribe on Spotify and Apple, and I'd love it if you'd leave a rating and review so that more people can learn about the podcast and have a dose of good in their day. I hope you are doing well. I hope you have a wonderful day. Be sure to go out there and help others, spread kindness, and help to make the world a better place.